How exciting is that? All right. So, Toad. Um, so my oldest loves Toad. Well, they both love Toad. My oldest is 6, and what did we do yesterday? We did some I was playing around with layers a little bit. So we'll just do some quick rough sketch of Toad. Luckily for me, he's pretty geometric. He's just like a bunch of circles. So he loves Toad. So I told him I would draw Toad because I've been showing him my daily drawings, and then I was going to do it in a way where it'll be nice and clean, so that he can color him in however he wants. So I'm going to do this really rough sketch of him just to get started. And then I'm going to do another layer on top and clean up all the lines. And we'll see how much we want to actually detail him out. So right now we'll just leave this as pretty simple. He's definitely more geometric, more circular. And this worked out yesterday really well for the sketch. Yeah, so the biggest thing that came out of my experience at Fish was that they they got their act together. Like they fully embraced this digital world. And I think that's pretty interesting. That's something that I definitely want to. I gotta do a better job of. So needless to say, I'm going to stream for a good chunk today, and then I'm going to spend the afternoon cutting up whatever I stream. And I'll start posting this stuff to the Amazon dev blog. So if you miss a stream, you'll be able to catch up on all the fun and exciting stuff that I've done. Later today, after I do this this rough sketch, I'm going to go in and I'm going to work on my so the scores are in for Ludum Dare. My game tanked, which was really, I was actually like really unmotivated last night after I saw those scores. But I like my game idea, and because of that, I'm going to continue to go through and clean up. I'm going to go through and clean up my Kingdom by the Sea, which is my mini Civ clone, and we're going to keep cleaning that up. And also, I think later this week, I think on Thursday, I'm going to sit down and finalize all the stuff I need to for. Sorry, it's hard to draw and talk at the same time. I'm going to finalize all the stuff that I need to do in order to finish off Warrior of Dragons. He has 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so he's got this little hand, and he waves up, and he says, "Hi! Spend as much money as you can on Nintendo products." Actually, Captain Toad was a really good game, so I shouldn't give Nintendo too much shit. So I mean, this isn't going to be a very long sketch today. Obviously, he sort of draws himself. Yeah, Captain Toad was a really good game. I like this idea of these. Actually, I think Captain Toad and some of these like new games I've been playing have been heavily influencing the games that I make. I like these. They're very small puzzle games, and they're confined to a very small scope. All right, so that's his hand. I've drawn this toad a ton of times for my son. So he's not very difficult at this point. I could probably do him in my sleep. There was like a time where all my son wanted me to draw for him was Toad. But you know what? That's why we have kids, so we could do shit that we don't want to do. All right. One thing I want to do is let's move him down a little bit. We'll finish off this head, and I'm going to resize him just a bit. Now I don't actually know how to resize stuff here. Is that this tool? Because if they're going to draw, if they want to do this as like a coloring book type thing, I want this to be sort of as big as possible. All right, and how do I exit? Okay, and then if we go back into here, let's look at our crop marks, and let's just center this guy. We'll move him around into this safe crop zone, and that works out pretty perfect. All right, so this is what I did yesterday. We don't need the toad picture anymore. He's basically done. Where's let me get rid of this. Hold on, I gotta find my thing. So what I wanted to play around with a little bit more now is going through cleaning up lines. Now, it's funny, there's like all these like, I swore that there were all these like vector tools and stuff that you can use to like clean up lines. I don't know where any of them are, how they work. I got to sit down and really read the manual for this book, or for this drawing program, but that ain't it. But apparently this will also do some fun stuff to clean up your artwork. None of which I even know how it works. Vector management. Whatever. Okay, so long story short, we have a rough sketch, right? So let's just imagine I had done this in pencil or something, and then I would draw on top of it. Now in this case here, what we're going to do is we're just going to thin this out a little bit so I can still see it, and then I'm going to lock the layer, and then I'm going to come into here. And I'm pretty happy with a lot of these lines. A lot of it's just going to be coming in and making sure that this is just clean. And it's one of the things that I've started to like about. I never really did a lot of digital drawing. As I was talking about in some of my other streams, like I have a degree in art. I've done art for a very, very, very long time, but when I was a kid, none of this stuff, like tablets, and I mean, I was using Photoshop 1, and it was pretty rough. A lot of times when I wanted to get stuff onto the computer, I would just simply, I don't like that tongue. I think his tongue is just going to be flat. A flat circle. A lot of times when I would draw on the computer, I'd actually, my father worked in a print shop, and I would go there, and I remember I'd take like I'd use the photocopy machine, and I would take my drawings and photocopy them onto celluloid film, like what you do with like an overhead projector, which may be alien to some of you people anyways. Let's see, it's doing that stuff that I don't want it to do. And I would then tape it to my monitor, and I would use the mouse to draw on the screen. It was very primitive, but it was the best that I could do at the time. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is fill in the black of his eyes. I want my kids to be able to basically color him in however they see fit. So one of the things I think is like really important when you're teaching kids how to draw, especially when you're teaching them how to color, is to not stifle their creativity and to let them just do whatever they want. So if they want to make the eyes blue or purple or fuchsia or whatever color, let them do it. Because you know what? They're kids. Like why they have their whole life to deal with rules. So when it comes to drawing and having fun, let them just be kids. Terrible circles. Yesterday, Doug Winnie was telling me about using a French curve, which is that tool that has like the curve stuff on it, and it might not be a bad idea to invest in. The other thing that's good about having kids that are young is that you're still infallible. So I can just draw him really poorly and they would still eat it up and think I'm the greatest dad on earth. So we're gonna use that artistic leeway to just draw him just good enough. I think he's actually looking pretty good. I mean, like I said, Toad's not very hard to draw. Han Solo, on the other hand, did that give me a run for my money? He was a challenge. I have something that I really want to draw. I want to draw Mrs. F, which is my wife, but I don't ever use her name on streams, but she's a very private person. I want to draw her. I have a really great photo of her, and I think she might kill me if I draw her live on my stream one day. That might just be one of those things that I just do on my own, and not do it live. Although I really like drawing people. I've drawn my wife a few times before. I mostly like drawing people with charcoal. That's why I'm kind of eager to get Sketchbook Pro working. I would love to play around a little bit more with like digital charcoal. I have to say, out of like all the mediums that I used, charcoal was easily one of my favorite. I love how you can get so much blending and so much depth in it just by simply using the just by taking advantage of the fact of how it sits on the page. I don't know. I really loved charcoal. I think one thing that I want to do though, well, one, I want to clean up this line. I don't like this line at all. I was thinking that this hand, his palm just comes down as a point of reference. It doesn't always have to meet up 100% to give you that definition. It just needs to show that it's like this fine line, no pun intended, that you have to do when it comes to just showing depth when you're doing something really simple. The one thing I'm not really happy with are these like wavy lines I'm doing. It's looking a little too sketchy, which is fine because technically it's a sketch, right? But I don't know. I got to look into. I think this program does a lot of things that can also help you with making smoother lines. That's going to be a pain to clean up. We'll just trace back over this area until we get to the thickness that we want. And even in here, this is a little... There we go. All right, so what's next on the list? His other hand, which I don't think I did very well. It's not a good angle. It's drawn. I think one of the hardest things when you're learning how to draw is how to draw upside down. Your brain sort of doesn't want to work this way, but a lot of the times it's easier to make these curves the way that you want them to. And we're going to continue this line in to make his hand. Looks awful. Just his fingers are like a little too chubby. Oops, something is up. I will be right back. Hold on one second. Forgot that I had ADT coming today to look at something, so now I got to deal with that. Okay, we're just gonna finish this up, and then I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I'll come back and I'll start doing my regular stream for some game dev stuff. All right, so all right. I think that looks good enough. This whole area looks weird. All right, so that's his hand, and we'll just do his feet. Ooh, it really messed up that line, huh? Oops, I don't know what that menu was, but... It's the problem, is getting these lines to match up again, because you basically have ended the stroke, and you need to keep that flow going. All right. There we go. And even though his foot, you see sort of the edge. Oh, look at that jump. Even though you see the edge of his foot, it's still very rounded. Toad's actually a pretty good person to like I was teaching my oldest how to draw him by just using regular geometric shapes. So he's a good person to start drawing with.